Before visiting House on the Rock, I had no idea what I was going to see. Descriptions made it sound like some combination of the Winchester home, a Frank Lloyd Wright home, and some carnival big top. The map we got on arrival was equally confusing. It was a house that was built into the rocks, but it was also an art museum, and it was a theme park, and it was a series of gardens. It was a series of very different buildings, from ones that looked like something out of the Flintstones to ones that resembled airplane hangars, cobbled together over the course of over 30 years. And when we walked out, 4 hours later, I was even more confused. What in the world had I just seen? I expected to see the house perched on the pillar of rock when we pulled in. But all that's visible are sprawling parking lots and a lodge that functions as a mostly empty welcome center. Beyond that is a garden, complete with waterfalls and a fountain-spewing dragon. A covered walkway guides you to the Alex Jordan Center, past footbridges and lily pads to the entrance of the Information Center. You could spend an hour just in the Information Center if you wanted to read everything about Alex Jordan. But I wasn't really sure I could even believe what I read. The facts seemed to be that he was born in Wisconsin in 1914, grew up in a moderately wealthy family, dropped out of college after a year, seemed unfocused and unable to hold a job, slept erratic hours, and lived with a longtime companion he never married. The placards also seemed to infer that he was some sort of creative genius and some artistic dreamer. But when I looked at the stuff that he had created, I had my doubts. Jordan began planning for a house on top of this rock outcrop in the 1940s. But the gatehouse wasn't finished until 1961. It's the only part of the complex of buildings that even resembles a house, and it's built with the natural rocks and the trees incorporated. It is so incredibly dark, and the house is so bizarre that it takes a minute to understand what you are seeing. Although Jordan never lived here, there is a dining room table, Tiffany lamps, a functional kitchen with running water, a sunken living room with an enormous fireplace, and a built-in couch, big enough to hold 15 of your closest friends. The hand-carved wooden shutters throughout were imported from India, although Jordan himself rarely traveled outside of Wisconsin. You tour all of this to the background of mechanical musical machines playing bolero. This odd mechanical music plays loudly throughout the entire complex, and it is the music that is in this video. Low, dark rock hallways lead to the original house. Jordan had no formal education or architectural training, and these first structures began with him carrying the materials up the 60-foot rock himself. There are 13 rooms in the original house, most of which are more like spaces than actual rooms. Like the gatehouse, this house is also built around natural landscapes, with trees and rocks and water pools interspersed with things like a grand piano and couches and bookshelves. This is also where the infinity room extends from.
This is cool.
The Infinity Room is probably the most famous part of the entire property. It extends 218 feet over the landscape, seemingly hovering in the air, and it is made of 3,000 pieces of glass. If you dare, you can walk all the way to the end and look down through a pane in the floor to the valley below. If this all seems strange so far, the mill house is where it begins to get truly bizarre. Before the additions of the mixed messaging spiritual gardens and the covered walkways, old photos of the house, taken before this became a tourist shop, show a building that resembles a low stone house with an interesting roofline, rock wall-lined pathways, and a water wheel. It could look like almost an ordinary house. But there is a reason this part of the compound is not grouped with the other house-like buildings. Inside, dungeon-like areas are cluttered with strange statues, mutated musical instruments that spring to life by themselves, and suits of armor. What might have been uniquely beautiful stairs and alcoves are now covered top and bottom with shag rugs, every nook and cranny stuffed with odds and ends of things that Jordan collected. This was the beginning of the collections to come. It is the place where you might begin to realize that you are walking through the physical manifestation of the mental unraveling of a man whose obsessions have taken control. The seemingly random collections in the mill house lead easily into the streets of yesterday, where clearly construction has stopped conforming itself to nature. Here, a more modern building has been designed to look like a 19th century small town street lined with quaint stores. There's an apothecary, a firehouse, a barber shop, a sheriff office, a carriage house, and more, all stuffed with so-called antiques. It is about as curated as Jordan's collections come. Although, aside from categorizing each by the store, there's no other information. Where do the items come from? How old are they? Do they have any significance? Are they even real? This last question is the one that began to bubble up even more the further I went into the compound. In the days after visiting, I dug into the history of the house and of Jordan, trying to find the answers to the questions I had after walking through this place. I went in with the idea that all of this would be real, that Jordan was an avid collector of antiques and memorabilia. But while some of the items seemed real, like the Fabergé egg with the certificate of authenticity, Many others seemed patently fake, even though they were presented alongside the real ones. It seems this was part of the game for Jordan. In the early days, he presented everything as real, and it wasn't until much later that it became known that much of what was labeled as real, like the Tiffany lamps, were actually copies or replicas or even fakes that he had made by his own employees. He seemed to relish the idea of fooling the visitors. The heritage of the Sea Room shifts architecture again. From here on out, the rooms and the buildings resemble mostly large rectangular warehouses filled with just stuff. To be sure, the heritage of the sea centerpiece is alarming. A 3-story whale, taller than the Statue of Liberty, is fighting an octopus, and it overpowers almost everything else, with the exception of the relentless, tinny music coming from the octopus garden in the corner. The glass showcases in this room are where I began questioning everything I'd seen up till now. A placard states that Jordan acquired an entire naval history museum and incorporated its contents here, giving this part an air of importance. It offers the promise of, and the illusion of, a museum. But several cases in, the contents began to repeat themselves. Exactly. And it became clear that very little in here is authentic. The remainder of Section 2, the tribute to nostalgia, music of yesterday, and the spirit of aviation, is a cacophony of sights and sounds, of more indoor streets, fake buildings, collections of memorabilia, probably both fake and maybe real, and antique cars that may or may not be replicas, newspaper headlines. There is an equal level of nostalgia and creepiness that runs through the entire second half of the tour. I was equally fascinated and repulsed by some of the weirder displays, both by the contents and the vastness of them. The overwhelming size of the collections and the overpowering, ever-present sound of the out-of-tune mechanical music is intense. And as it turns out, these mechanical instrument orchestras are not even playing the music. It's just being piped in. Still, it is riveting, if not unnerving. The red room leads to the carousel room, which is perhaps the most famous section of the entire site. It's been featured in music videos, books, and movie series, but honestly, nothing can prepare you for what it's like in real life. The House on the Rock claims that this is the largest indoor carousel, with 269 animals, 20,000 lights, and 182 chandeliers. The animals on the carousel range from the somewhat normal lions, elephants, and bullfrogs to fantasy animals that, like the musical instruments in the house, are unholy mashups. Famously, there is not a single horse on the carousel, at least not ones that are an entire horse, or meant as one of the riding animals. Not that anyone gets to ride any of this. It's a mesmerizing place, the deep reds, the white lights, the playfulness of the carousel. But like throughout the rest of the house, the more you see, the more unnerving it is. Some of these were real carousel figures, bought on Jordan's direction from defunct carnivals, their carcasses stripped and mutilated and mashed together to create new garish ones. Others were made by staff as mutated replicas of the originals or entirely new creations, like mermaids and centaurs, and female centaurs with knight's armor. As in the rest of the compound, every inch of room here is covered, with even the ceilings obscured by wing-to-wing angels. Carousel horses, both real and replicas, cover the walls like 3D wallpaper, along with more angels, more mutated animals, and musical instruments a la Alex Jordan. One could stand here for hours and not see it all. To exit the fever dream that is the carousel room, you have to walk through the devil's throat to arrive in the organ room. Like the rooms that came before it, it's hard to quantify what this is supposed to be. It contains what House on the Rock claims are the 3 greatest theater organ consoles ever built. But with the massive chandelier, and the walkways, and the bridges, and the spiral staircases, and what looks like a series of moonshine stills, it's easy to miss the consoles. The last section of the house contains the gallery, the circus room, and the dollhouse room, including a doll carousel, because why not? The galleries are what House on the Rock calls exotic collections gathered from all regions of the globe. They are ivories and firearms and crown jewels and Remingtons, which likely were not gathered from anywhere outside of Jordan's own workshops. A few of these might be real. It's hard to know, but most of it is clearly fake. I haven't decided if this part is fun or if it feels like Jordan is laughing at us from the grave. The circus room teeters between fascinating and outright creepy. There's a sense of whimsy in the displays. They're 3-ring circuses and trapeze artists. But there is also something about circuses that is innately creepy. Maybe it's the clowns. And the music here certainly doesn't help. Within this section, there is also a room with an automated 40-piece band and an 80-piece orchestra. Like most of the music throughout, many of the instruments are Jordan creations of parts mashed together while the music is being piped in. The Dollhouse Room contains what the House on the Rock claims are the world's largest collections of miniature dollhouses. There are over 200 dollhouses, furnished with what must be hundreds of thousands of furnishings and miniatures. Consistent with everywhere else on this tour, there are no signs to say what is original and what are Jordan-made replicas. House on the Rock has been called a lot of things: fake, bizarre, a hoax, unhinged, a great roadside attraction. And when we exited with the Dolls Carousel's creepy goodbye, that all seemed to sum it up quite